Dear colleagues, dear friends, for me it's a great pleasure to be here today, even if via the help of technological support, to open with you the meeting of the Russian Association of Human Reproduction. But even more, for me, it's a great honor have been asked to say some words about Yuri Wерлинский. I think that for all of us here in the audience, but for all of us around the world, Yuri Wерлинский have changed our way of thinking about reproductive medicine. And I think that the support he gave to many of us was tremendous. If we think about the friendship that he was able to spread around the world, for sure that was a thing, and this is the thing that for me is more important with the relation of Yuri. I'm saying is using the present verb because a part of the impossibility to see him now in real time, many things I learned from him, and many discussions I had with him still remain alive and still remain as a part of my professional life and my friendship life. So I think that we should look to our relationship with Yuri, all of us, or at least many of us that had the opportunity to work with him, as something that is still there, that is totally, not only positive, but totally devoted to the future. So in the few minutes I have for this presentation, I like to look at Yuri, like having him around as usual, saying one of his most useful and most frequent sentence like, hey guy, listen to me, I know how it works, and look at this through the experience of his life. Well, I don't think that we have to spend time here to look at the indication of PGD and what he has done for it. But I didn't have the opportunity to meet him before PGD time, but if I look through the literature and if I speak with some of his old collaborators, I think that he had the same emphasis, the same importance on a topic that was just before PGD for him. I'm talking about CVS. Actually, he introduced in the United States the chorionic villus sampling, and then he shifted to pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. I think that all of us acknowledge the fact that he was the first to believe that we could look into polar bodies not as a sort of side effect or oocyte maturation, but as a sort of way to understand more about oocyte physiology and early human development. And I think that was very innovative point of view. Polar body was the instrument by which Yuri developed the possibility to look into the monogenic disorders and to look into the aneuploids. But then, little by little, this party got probably the most successful stories from these byproducts of the eggs. He never stopped to look to the future. And he still, I think, it doesn't stop, because via the experience that he left around and via the experience of his group and via the experience of the literature, he's continually pushing many of us to look forward. After polar body for monogenic and aneuploid screening, he was able to be so innovative to look into the possibility of having HLA matching as a possibility not only to generate a safe individual, but also to generate an individual that, being safe and be free of the disease he was looking for, he could also be able to help a sick person. And I think that even if for us at the moment it seems something normal. It seems something that could be played as a routine system. Actually, the idea was tremendously original. And as you are aware, there are now in the world few centers that have the full expertise to carry on the whole system. After that, moving with the years, he was very, very impressively devoted to the disease that could affect people around the world in the late part of their age. And it's interesting because this came along as an idea in a person that was in the full maturity of his knowledge and in the full maturity of his brain. Now, if we look at the numbers, and the numbers that you are looking at maybe are not updated, but it's interesting because from these large numbers on oversized aneuploidies, he was clearly able to indicate which was the percentage of aneuploidy related to M1, to M2, and which were the aneuploidies that were not isolated, but they were just a mixture. And from here, it's quite clear that you can understand a lot about the physiology of human ovocytes. When we look at the data, again, related to PGD cycles and in which conditions they have done at that time, and how many of these cycles have been done for HLA cases, you see that there is a large contribution of HLA cases. And I'm sure that the figures that are not updated here are even bigger now in RGI. If you look at some of the data that are related to these techniques, HLA and single gene disorders, you see that since the beginning, because this is a major point, since the beginning, the techniques that were developed by him and by his group didn't seem to affect the pregnancy rate. So high pregnancy rate, high chance of possibility to succeed, and what is more important, such a limited, almost neglected, in his hands, risk of misdiagnosis that would make these techniques very, very safe. The other thing that really was impressive from this point of view, and I think that this really is really under the eyes of everybody of us, the way in which he was able to spread the information and the way in which he was able to make agreement and make friends around United States, but not only around United States, but around the whole world. And in doing so, in looking continuously for collaboration, looking continuously for new opportunities and for novelties, he was able to create a web that was going around the world, from Russia, where we are, to Belize. You can see here, for those of you that have not the opportunity to visit this center in Belize, so in Central America and in Europe. If we look at the worldwide PGD experience, it's interesting to see that if we compare the data of the ESHRE PGD consortia that actually is running all the centers in Europe that are working on PGD, and again, I'm showing you data that are not completely updated, and you compare in terms of single gene defects and chromosomal abnormalities, the percentage of cycles that are done in all Europe via the big university centers and the big private centers, and you compare this with RGI results and mainly with RGI numbers, you see that it is impressive the number of cycles that one single center, like RGI, is able to perform compared to the rest of Europe. So once again, proving that the concept is clearly demonstrating that what he was able to put together with his large and talented number of collaborators actually is something that it takes the entire Europe to balance the power of RGI. Going further in terms of innovation, along the years, he was very much involved, as I mentioned to you, after the late onset and the disposition and the predisposition for cancer, and again he produced the first data on this sector. He really concentrated on the possibility to use stem cells for combining reproductive medicine, genetic, and possibly new research. All of us, I think, of all of you are aware about STEM right, and that again was another innovative or novelty that he generated as an idea, and then he was able to apply to many other activities. Well, the concept, first of all, was to try to have stem cell cytoplasmatic hybrid, what he really called STEM bride, again an innovative way to succeed possibly in the area of the stem cell research. The idea to enucleate human embryonic stem cells and then use the cytoplasm for further development, I think that was something that really need a unique amount of neurons and synapses working in the same way, in the same brain, at the same time. And that was Yuri Wерлинский. And in fact, if we look at all the cells, at the human embryonic stem cells line that are worldwide distributed, again, at a certain moment, and I'm talking about only 1 or 2 years ago, these were the results. There were 14 in Australia, 27 in Asia, 77 in all the United States, 36 in Europe. But then, when you look at the RGI total number, you see what they still 2 years ago they got 312 lines already there. And of course, I don't want to waste your time in looking to one by one the repository of human embryonic stem cells in RGI. But as you can see, the huge variability and the huge variety of these cell lines, I think that cannot be, till now, found in any other single institution around the world. So, stem cell therapeutic potential, the future is there. Again, Yuri, until the last moment, was using his brain to suggest the possibility that this theory, this idea was going to be real. And in fact, he proposed few theories, again, that are actually, at the moment, at the top line and at the front line of potential research for human application. So, what do you want me to say more? I think that he is, because again, I insist on the fact that his ideas are around the world, and they make a lot of people, not only his own group, to think and to work. So he's still giving us a lot of ideas as a hard worker, pushing everybody of us to work as much as possible, as hard as possible, possibly being even more obsessive than him. Despite of that, he was anyway looking after the possibility to enjoy life, to have good friends all around the world. Why not? Better if they were XX friends and not XY friends. And that was his way to interact with all of us. Great friend, most of the time very expensive. He was used to ask to use my own cellular phone to make international phone call all around the world with the aim of organizing and coordinating his own center. So he was used when we were together in Brazil to call Chicago, or when we were in Chicago to call Europe. And that was probably a genetic predisposition of Yuri, using somebody else's cellular phone. And that's another way that we should remember him. So, dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm not happy because I'm not with you. So I have just to send my message to you via this electronic format. But it doesn't really matter, because most of the time I spend with you both either by computer, by cellular phone, both of us by cellular phone, and via electronic support. So that's the same thing that I'm doing now with you. I think that it's not a matter of physical presence, but it's a matter of exchanging of brain possibilities to work together and to have ideas together. And that is what I'm sure was the most important thing for Yuri, and that's the thing that probably is most important for us. So thank you again for letting me having this opportunity to speak to you about somebody that all of us, I'm sure, have in mind and will have in mind for many, many years.
Female and genuinely beautiful.
Have a wonderful meeting, and I'm sure that in that audience you will not be alone at all.